Hello, fellow captains, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are continuing our adventures in the California Dreams bush trip, flying the Cessna 208 Caravan. We are currently in leg number 8, heading from Bishop to Mammoth, Yosemite. So let's go ahead and hop into the cockpit. I will get this loaded, get the GPS set up and the autopilot and all of that stuff, and meet you guys when we're ready for takeoff. Alright, we've got our controls all set up. CDI is set to the GPS line. We have our nav mode set. Vertical speed is at 1,200 feet. It's going to take us up to 7,500 feet. And outside of that, we just need to read off our first point of interest and then go off and head towards it. So our first destination is the Chalfant Valley from Bishop Airport. Head due north, follow the base of the White Mountains to a small ranching community of a Chalfant Valley. Let's go ahead and get up in the air. Focus a little bit, make sure I'm staying on that center line. Weird thing is that as you go when you first start it has a heavy pull to the left, and then as you get faster it starts pulling to the right, so you have to like you have to start really seriously adjusting it as you continue down the runway. Alright, let's get up in the air. Get some pitch trim set up so that we can have a nice smooth takeoff. And the reason I set all of this stuff up early is so I can just press that autopilot as soon as we get off the ground, and we let the computer do the rest. So give you a nice view as we're taking off from the runway here. I'm trying to remember to give you guys some panoramic views as we're flying through these areas so that you can kind of see where we're going. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Look at the little river going down over there. You never know when you're going to come across something that looks pretty like that. But yeah, I'm trying to give you guys really good views of the scenery, because I do put cuts in these videos now so that they don't take quite so long and there's not long boring stretches where I'm having to continue to talk and babble the entire time. So we got about 7 miles until we climb up towards this way here. Looks like we're going to climb relatively high to go over to wherever these mountains are and then come back out. So it's going to be kind of like a S-shaped pattern to go land over up here, and that looks like it's relatively high as well. So I'm going to continue climbing. We'll end up turning off that way, and I'll bring you guys back when we're about ready to make that turn. Right, we're about 1.5 miles out from making our turn. I actually think it's going to have us turn a little early because there's a little curvy bit there. Yep, it's already getting us ready to turn off to the next waypoint. Patriarch Grove is our next stop. Climb steeply up the western slope of the White Mountains to its broad crest at 11,000 feet above sea level to visit the Patriarch Grove of bristlecone pines, some of the oldest living trees on the planet, with some over 3,000 years in age in this grove. Well, there you go. So we're going to turn off in this direction, climb up over these mountains. Hopefully we'll be able to see the groves once we come out of the cut here. And then looks like we're going to fly up over the tops of these and come back down that way. So let's get a nice view of the mountains as we're approaching them. Gotta love it when those clouds are kind of hugging the mountain that way. Alright, so I'm going to continue my climb up this way. We've got about 7 miles of climbing as we go over here, and I'll bring you guys back once we're pretty close. Alright, we are getting ready to turn off towards our next spot. I ended up having to do a loop to gain enough altitude to get over this stuff. The route planners for this trip didn't really do a very good job of making sure you weren't going to crash into mountains given the climbing performance of this aircraft, so you end up having to take a little bit more manual control than I would like. I mean, obviously flying's not a terrible thing, but I'm just saying, you know, if you're going to design a trip, make sure you design it in a way that allows people to get up and down over it. So anyways, off to our next direct destination here, the Barcroft Field Station. Follow the dirt road from the Patriarch Grove to the Barcroft Field Station, a research facility at 12,470 feet, which has recorded some of the highest winds in the world. So I set my altitude up to 13.5. We should have enough to clear that now. Never did see the Patriarch Grove. I'm guessing maybe it's that right there, but I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of hard to tell individual landmarks when you're looking at some of this nature stuff. It doesn't exactly stand out in a way that makes it clear that this is what you're looking at. But anyways, got about a mile before we get to this next one. Let's see if we can see the station here. I don't know, is it this little area here? I can't tell if that's a building or not. It looks like a building. Yeah, I think this is the station that they were talking about. So that's pretty cool. What's the next thing say? 14,252, that's the summit. We're currently climbing to 13,500, so I don't know. Yeah, ideally we'll turn off before we get to this. Got 3 miles. Not really sure. Oh, I'm sorry, it said 14,000. Put it up at 15,500, but I don't know. Hopefully we'll turn off before we even get to this mountain here. Ideally, we'll get kind of close to it. It'll start to turn us off over this way, and we'll be able to crest over everything. A little bit nerve-wracking to be approaching the mountain this way, but I try not to take it off of the autopilot unless I have to. Not because, obviously not because I can't fly it. It's just I like to keep it on the autopilot. It gives us a nice straight line, efficient path towards everything that we're trying to do. So yeah, exactly what I thought was going to happen is what's happening. So we're turning off to the left towards the next waypoint. USR at 53. White Mountain... Oh, I'm sorry. This is White Mountain Peak here. Continue along the crest... Oh, we already... Did I read this? I'm confused. Oh. Continue along the crest of the White Mountains to the summit of White Mountain Peak at 14,000 feet above sea level, the third highest mountain in California, and only one of the two 14ers not in the Sierra Nevada, the other being Mount Shasta, part of the Cascade Range. Well, there you go. Owens Valley view. Head west to a point where the entire Owens Valley becomes dramatically into view. Like Death Valley, Owens Valley is a graben formed through the tectonic processes. So there you go. And a nice panoramic high altitude view of this awesome valley down here that we've been flying through. And it is definitely a very dramatic view, especially from here. Like if you're up in an airliner, this doesn't really hit you the same way, but this definitely is an awesome view there. So does this give us any... Yeah, it doesn't give us any altitude information. I'm not sure we're going to fly over this, so that's 53. We're going to hit 53, then we're going to fly over to Lake Crowley. I can't tell what the altitude is here, so I'm just going to stick up to where we are now, because the color here is very similar to the colors here. So I have to imagine it's going to be relatively high, and I don't want to have to try to climb at higher altitude in this thing. So we'll go ahead and cut until we get all the way to the lake over there, and then I'll bring you guys back. Well, actually, I need to bring you back for the next waypoint so I can read it off to you. Lake Crowley lies at the northern end of Owens Valley. So, based on what the map is saying, that's over this way. We're going to make a slight turn to the left to head to the water that we saw. And then, pretty much once we get to the water, we have a straight shot down to the airport right here. So, that's the plan. Alright, here we are at the lake, descending down to 9,500 feet on the autopilot. We can already see the airport right there. So I am actually going to, let's see, we're going to switch our heading. Yeah, we'll switch our heading mode to say something like that. And we'll switch it over to heading mode so we can start lining up with the runway over here. Oh, maybe not that far to the right. Put it there. Just need to get far enough over that we can get lined up properly. Sorry, I'm trying to... I want to also set it so that we're getting down fast enough that we can land here pretty soon. Pull back on the throttle. So we do need to start slowing down as well. Matter of fact, I think we're just going to turn the autopilot off. start doing a little bit of excessive turning to bleed off some speed. Waiting for that to come down fast enough. Want to get down in that flaps range. The flaps will really start to slow us down once we can get to that. Pretty good. And then we just got to get ourselves down to the runway at this point. Excuse me. Almost there. Wait till I get relatively close, and then I'll drop that second notch of flaps. Need to lose some altitude here. Come on. Because it's a turboprop engine, I have to stay a little bit ahead of it, kind of like a jet, because it takes just a second for the engine to spool up, but we'll make it. Still a little high.
500.
Okay, just get into that ground effect. Ideally, we'll have a nice soft touchdown. There we go. All right, well, hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click that like button so the YouTube algorithm knows that you did and sends the video out to more viewers so we can get as many people along for these flights as we can. Subscribe to the channel so if you're not subscribed already, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your video feed and you'll be able to watch these videos as soon as they become available. Channel members do get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click that join button, check out the list of options that are available, and decide if any of those are right for you. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps to build this into something that is financially sustainable. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys had lots of fun, and I'll see you for the next one.